These 15 plants are quietly feeding 2 billion people every single day. One delivers more iron per gram than beef. Another contains more protein than any grain your grocery store sells. Together, they have sustained civilizations for over 6,000 years. Yet most Americans have never grown them, and some have even been discouraged, restricted, or pushed aside by modern agriculture. Every plant on this list is edible. Most are surprisingly easy to grow, and several could be thriving in your backyard this season. Let us start with one most people have never heard of, a floating fern that doubles its size every few days. Giant salvinia. Giant salvinia is a floating aquatic fern with small, velvety leaves that looks like it belongs in a fish tank. In parts of South America and Southeast Asia, the young fronds are harvested from managed waterways and prepared as an aquatic vegetable, cooked like leafy greens. It seems delicate, it seems harmless. It is one of the most destructive aquatic organisms on the planet. Under ideal conditions, giant salvinia doubles its biomass every few days. It forms mats so thick that sunlight cannot reach the water. Oxygen collapses, fish die. Entire lakes become biological deserts. No natural predators in North America. Possessing even a single fragment can result in hefty fines. A plant eaten as food in one hemisphere, an ecological weapon in another, a floating fern that kills lakes. The next one kills them even faster, and it used to be sold in every aquarium store. Hydrilla. You may have bought this plant for your fish tank. Hydrilla was sold in American aquarium stores for decades, attractive, fast-growing, and providing oxygen to water. In traditional cuisines across South America and Asia, the tender-growing tips are harvested and eaten like watercress, mild, slightly sweet, edible. Then it escaped. Hydrilla grows several inches per day. It forms underwater thickets so dense they block boat propellers, clog municipal water intake pipes, and suffocate fish. A single plant fragment can establish a new colony. It earned the nickname the perfect aquatic weed. It has cost billions in control efforts. Illegal to possess, transport, or sell in most states. Now marketed in dried form as a health supplement for its B12 content, the same plant you cannot legally put in a pond. An aquarium plant that cost billions. The next one was a Victorian garden favourite, and beekeepers loved it, until it ate every wetland in sight. Purple loosestrife. Tall spikes of brilliant purple flowers. Purple loosestrife was the pride of Victorian wetland gardens. The young leaves are edible when cooked, used for centuries as a pot herb in European cuisine, similar to spinach. Beekeepers prized it for its abundant nectar, but purple loosestrife had wetland domination in its DNA. A single plant produces over 2 million seeds per year. Those seeds spread through water, wind, and wildlife, forming monocultures that crowd out cattails, sedges, and every native wetland species. Habitat for waterfowl, fish, and thousands of species disappears. Millions spent annually on control efforts across the country. What seemed like a beautiful addition to wetland gardens became an ecological disaster. A flower planted on purpose, now a federal noxious weed. 2 million seeds from one plant. The next one does not need seeds, it doubles its entire population every 2 weeks. Water hyacinth. Water hyacinth produces some of the most beautiful flowers in the plant kingdom, clusters of lavender rising from thick green leaves floating on the surface. It was originally introduced as an ornamental for water gardens because of its attractive appearance. In Vietnam, they call it luc bin. In Thailand, it is stir-fried with garlic and chili. In Bangladesh, it is boiled as a vegetable. Across Southeast Asia, the thick leaf stalks and young flower buds are eaten in soups and stir-fries. A mild, slightly sweet flavor. Millions of people eat this plant regularly. In America, possessing it can result in significant fines. Water hyacinth doubles its population every 2 weeks. It forms mats that clog waterways, block boat traffic, and kill fish by depleting oxygen. Damage to water systems runs into hundreds of millions. A plant beautiful enough to import, nutritious enough to feed millions, aggressive enough to destroy everything it touches. 4 plants now, all banned for beauty, for growth, for abundance. The next one was brought to America on purpose too, as food. Garlic mustard. European settlers brought garlic mustard to America in the 1800s deliberately, a valued spring green with mild garlic flavor used in salads and pestos for centuries across Europe. Now classified as a noxious weed in at least 8 states: Alabama, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Hampshire, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington, and present in 34. In Washington, it carries the highest classification, Class A, mandatory control. The reason is underground. Garlic mustard releases allelopathic chemicals that destroy mycorrhizal fungi, the networks trees depend on to absorb water and nutrients. Without those fungal partners, native trees cannot regenerate. One of the most damaging forest invasive species in North America. It also contains glucosinolates, the same compounds that are studied for cancer in broccoli and kale. Conservation groups have adopted a simple strategy: if you cannot beat it, eat it. Garlic mustard was food that became a weapon. The next plant was a weapon that became food, and it kept soldiers alive during World War II. Multiflora rose. The USDA promoted Multiflora rose in the 1930s through the 1950s as a living fence. Government programs paid farmers to plant it. What they did not advertise was the rose hips. Those small red fruits contain up to 1,158 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams. Oranges contain 53. That is not a typo, 20 times more vitamin C than oranges. The British government knew this. When German U-boats sank citrus imports during World War II, the Ministry of Health organised schoolchildren, Boy Scouts, and women's institutes to collect wild rose hips across the countryside. Their official message: rose hips are 20 times as rich in vitamin C as oranges. In 1941, 200 tons collected, 600,000 bottles of national rose hip syrup produced, distributed free to every child and nursing mother in Britain. Today, Multiflora rose is banned in most US states. The same plant the government told you to grow is now the plant the government tells you to destroy. Autumn olive. The United States Soil Conservation Service promoted autumn olive in the 1950s and 1960s. Government brochures called it beneficial. Hunters loved it because it attracted game birds. Then someone tested the berries. Red autumn olive berries contain between 15 and 54 milligrams of lycopene per 100 grams. Tomatoes contain about 3. At peak concentration, autumn olive delivers up to 17 times more of the compound that gives tomatoes their cancer-fighting reputation. Yellow-fruited varieties contain almost none. The color determines everything. Birds carried seeds miles from original plantings. Dense thickets spread across the landscape. What the government promoted became an invasive crisis, banned in numerous states. Cost: millions annually in control efforts. The berries still make excellent jams, jellies, and fruit leather. Foraging is encouraged where autumn olive is already established. Eat the invader. That is 3 plants the government planted, promoted, and outlawed. The next one takes the crown, called the most invasive plant on the planet. But in Japan, it is a delicacy. Japanese knotweed. Japanese knotweed has been called the most invasive plant in the world. Its roots burrow 10 feet deep, spread 60 feet horizontally, crack building foundations, destroy driveways. Property owners face lawsuits for letting it spread. A single fragment starts a new colony, making it nearly impossible to eliminate. In Japan, they call it itadori. Young spring shoots are a delicacy, tart, lemony, similar to rhubarb. They appear in early spring, tender and green. Locals harvest them when they're under 30 centimeters tall, any larger, and they turn woody. Pickled, stir-fried, added to soups. Rich in vitamins A and C. Some communities in the United States now organize knotweed harvesting events as a form of invasive species control. The roots contain the highest natural concentration of resveratrol, the compound studied in red wine for heart health, of any plant ever tested. Most commercial resveratrol supplements worldwide are extracted not from grapes, but from Japanese knotweed roots. The plant Americans spend millions destroying is the plant the supplement industry quietly harvests for profit. If you're starting to see a pattern, plants that feed people getting classified as threats, you are paying attention. We are halfway through, and the next 7 get more dramatic. Hit subscribe now so you do not miss any of them. Kudzu. During the Great Depression and Dust Bowl, the USDA promoted kudzu as a miracle crop. The Dust Bowl had stripped topsoil across the Great Plains. Kudzu was supposed to stop the bleeding. The government paid farmers $8 per acre to plant it from Pennsylvania to Texas. Leaves rich in protein, cooked like spinach, flowers made into jelly, roots processed into flour. In Japan and China, every part of the plant has documented culinary use for centuries. In traditional Chinese medicine, kudzu root has been used for over 2,000 years. But kudzu had conquest in mind. This vine grows up to 1 foot per day, covers over 7 million acres across the south, spreads 150,000 acres per year. Billions in economic damage annually. Smothers trees, buildings, power lines, entire landscapes. Kudzu is not a villain. Kudzu is a plant put in the wrong place by the wrong people for the wrong reasons. The government created the problem, then banned the result. If it is already on your land, harvest the leaves and flowers. You are doing the ecosystem a favor while feeding yourself a plant that sustained Asian civilizations for centuries. The government planted kudzu and regretted it. But the next one was here long before any government arrived, and the people who ate it first watched it get taken away. Water chestnut. Long before European settlers arrived, Native Americans harvested water chestnuts from rivers and ponds along the eastern seaboard. Starchy nuts with sweet, nutty flavor. Eaten raw, boiled, or roasted. High in carbohydrates, rich in minerals, easy to store through winter without spoiling, rare among aquatic plants. Survival food that kept communities fed through the hardest months. European settlers quickly learned to appreciate this native delicacy. Then it became a problem. Dense floating mats making water bodies completely unusable for swimming, boating, or fishing. Sharp, spiny nuts injuring swimmers, damaging boat propellers, crowding out native aquatic vegetation. Many states now run active removal programs. The same plant is cultivated and sold in every Asian grocery store, a different species, farmed in controlled environments. The problem was never the food. The problem was uncontrolled waterway spread. But the regulatory response did not distinguish between a plant choking a river and a plant feeding a family. A plant that fed indigenous communities for centuries, banned because it grows too well. Water chestnut lost its place at the American table. The next plant lost its identity. You have been drinking its replacement your entire life. Sassafras. Every American born before 1960 drank the real thing. Root beer, the original recipe, was flavored with sassafras root bark. Native Americans used it for millennia as both medicine and tea. Colonists shipped it back to England in the early 1600s. It was the second largest export from the New World after tobacco. The young leaves, dried into file powder, remain essential in Cajun gumbo to this day. On December 3rd, 1960, the FDA declared any food containing saffrole adulterated and illegal to sell. The root beer industry switched to artificial flavor overnight. Studies behind the ban fed rats diets containing up to 1% saffrole for 2 years. Liver cancers developed. The mechanism: saffrole metabolizes into a compound that damages DNA, real science. But to consume the equivalent dose from sassafras tea, a human would need to drink gallons daily for decades. In the 1970s, the FDA went further, banning the bark itself. The tree grows wild across the eastern US. You can plant one legally. The leaves are still sold commercially. But the root bark, the bark indigenous people used for centuries, is classified as adulterated. Root beer lost its root. The next plant lost something bigger. An entire nation lost it for 55 years. Black currant. In France, black currant is in every bar. Crème de cassis, made from black currants, is one of the most popular liqueurs in the country. In Britain, every child grows up drinking Ribena. In Germany, Poland, Scandinavia, it grows in nearly every garden. Walk into any European supermarket and you will find black currant jam, juice, candy, ice cream. One of the most popular berries on the European continent. Americans have no idea what it tastes like. In 1911, Congress banned the cultivation, sale, and transport of black currants across the entire United States. The reason was lumber. Black currants carry a fungus called white pine blister rust that threatens white pine trees. The timber industry was worth up to $1 billion. Congress chose the trees. Existing currant farms were destroyed with herbicides. The ban lasted 55 years. An entire generation grew up never knowing this berry existed. The federal ban was lifted in 1966, but Massachusetts and Maine still prohibit cultivation today. New York did not lift its ban until 2003. Black currants contain more vitamin C than oranges, rich in anthocyanins linked to brain health, with seed oil studied for arthritis. Modern rust-resistant varieties exist. Small farms are slowly bringing it back. 55 years. An entire berry erased from American consciousness to protect lumber profits. A berry banned for lumber. A fern banned for growing. A flower banned for beauty. And now, a leaf that makes cells clean themselves. Ashitaba. There is an island 290 kilometers south of Tokyo called Hachijo. Volcanic soil, harsh winds, isolation. Japan's Alcatraz, a place where the unwanted were sent to disappear. For centuries, the Japanese government sent political exiles here to be forgotten. They were supposed to die. They did not. The exiles ate a plant growing wild on the volcanic cliffs. They outlived their guards. They outlived the emperors who sentenced them. The plant bleeds yellow. Cut a leaf at dawn, a new one grows by morning. The Japanese named it Ashitaba, tomorrow's leaf. In 2016, researchers at the University of Graz isolated a compound from the yellow sap called DMC. It exists in no other plant tested. When applied to yeast cells, the cells lived longer, fruit flies lived longer, roundworms lived longer. In every case, DMC triggered autophagy, the cellular cleanup process that removes damaged proteins before they accumulate into disease. The same mechanism as fasting, without fasting. Published in Nature Communications, Okinawa, where Ashitaba consumption remained constant across generations, has 5 times more centenarians per capita than the US. They did not achieve this through supplements or medical breakthroughs. They achieved this by eating what their great-great-grandparents ate. You cannot buy Ashitaba fresh in America. FDA approval costs $1 to $5 million. You cannot patent a plant. No company will pay. Available only as a supplement with no health claims allowed on the label. The plant is not illegal. The plant is unprofitable. And in America, that is the same thing. Seeds are available online. It grows in containers. Cut today, harvest tomorrow. The name is instruction. Kangkong, Philippines, Kangkong. Malaysia, Kangkong. Vietnam, Rau Muong. China, Kongshin Kai, hollow heart vegetable, cultivated over 2,000 years. Stand in any wet market in Bangkok, stacks piled higher than vendors. Tender shoots stir-fried, stems blanched, added to soups, curries, fermented salads. Not a niche crop, a food staple for 2 billion people. In the United States, Kangkong is classified as a federal noxious weed, illegal to import or transport without a federal permit. Florida law, possession prohibited without special permit. 9 states restrict or prohibit it outright. The nutrition, USDA data, 1.98 milligrams of iron per 100 grams raw. CABI data, 210 milligrams per 100 grams dried. Protein in dried leaf, 25.6%. Beef sirloin, 2.5 milligrams of iron per 100 grams. Non-heme iron plus natural vitamin C, self-enhancing absorption. Growth rate 10 centimeters per day. 1 cutting triples biomass in 7 days. Spinach needs 40 days to harvest. Kangkong, visible growth in 24 hours. Here is the question. The answer to an invasive plant problem in waterways is not to make it illegal to grow in a container in your backyard. A sealed container indoors poses 0 ecological risk. Here is how you grow it yourself. Container 20 centimeters deep, moist soil, 4 to 6 hours of light, cut the top, leave root intact. New shoots in 1 day, no garden required, no yard required, a windowsill and a pot of water. Cook the way 2 billion people do, high heat, garlic, 30 seconds. The stems stay crisp, the leaves go tender. Citrus at the end, That is a nutritional decision, not just flavor. The vitamin C converts non-heme iron into a form your body absorbs immediately. Amaranth. Growing this was punishable by death. Here is why. 6,500 years ago in Mexico, a plant grew in soil so poor it killed wheat. A single plant produced 60,000 seeds, ground into flour, popped, boiled, pressed into cakes, fermented. By the time the Aztec Empire rose, this grain ranked alongside maize and beans as a pillar of civilization. 20,000 tons received annually as tribute from 17 provinces. The Inca called it kiwicha. Himalayan communities called it ramdana, grain sent by God, Caribbean, kalaloo. 4 civilizations, oceans apart, converging on the same plant. The only grain providing all 9 essential amino acids, more protein than beef, 3 times more calcium than most grains. Contains squalene. The supplement industry sells shark-derived squalene for $60 a bottle. Amaranth grows it from the ground. In 1985, it flew aboard Space Shuttle Atlantis. NASA selected it for sustaining human life beyond Earth. It produced 20% more biomass than wheat under simulated Martian conditions. The UN declared it superior to every traditional cereal in existence. Now pay attention. This explains why you have never eaten it. Amaranth was sacred. During the Aztec festival of Panquetzalisli, priests ground seeds with honey into dough, sculpted god figures, consumed by tens of thousands. Cortes watched this in 1519. He was Catholic, raised on the Eucharist. What he saw looked disturbingly similar, grain shaped into a god, consumed as devotion. In 1521, Cortes ordered every field burned. Death penalty for growing, possessing, or saving seeds. The ban lasted 300 years. He did not just conquer the Aztec Empire, he burned its food supply. Because a grain looked too much like communion. A seed packet costs less than coffee. Grows in poor soil. Needs no fertilizer. One plant, 60,000 seeds. Every civilization that found it built something with it. The ones that lost it had it taken. 15 plants. Banned for growing too fast. Banned for being too nutritious. Banned for threatening an industry. The reasons change. The result is the same. The plants that feed the most people are the ones most likely to be erased. If this changes how you think about what grows around you, subscribe. Share this with someone who still thinks weeds are worthless. The algorithm buries what it cannot monetize, and your engagement is the only thing that keeps this visible. Spread it.